Hello there. What is going on, everybody? We are going to be doing some Armada proxies today, and we are going to, well, one Armada proxy in general. We're going to be painting up an Imperator Mark I Star Destroyer. This is a beautiful creation that was sent to us from Memnoch Manufacturing, and this is an absolutely beautiful piece. I will put links in the video description where you can check this guy out for yourself. And of course, this is how the ship comes. We are going to be painting it up today, and we're gonna have some fun with this. If you guys are, if you guys are Armada fans, definitely keep staying subscribed or click that subscribe button if you haven't already. We are doing a $50 gift card that's running through Halloween. It's an Amazon gift card. If you want to have a chance to enter to win that, you just have to be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. One of the things I'm going to be using is this stand today. This was the one that I had picked up on Mill Miniatures on Shapeways. As you can tell, it has seen plenty of better days, but it works really good as a stand to hold a ship while I am airbrushing or any kind of spraying, so that it does not, so I can do the bottom and have it not have to set it down and then, of course, get it all messy today. Now, there are a lot of different methods that you can use. A lot of folks, you want to prime these first. I like to use airbrush primer now, so I'm going to be using Vallejo primer. And this is my option. I live in Florida, and we just had a bunch of hurricanes, and it's been really rainy, and it's extremely humid. So I have shied away from using rattle can primers as much as possible. So I still have some that I'll use every once in a while, but generally, for the most part, I'm trying to stick to airbrush. We're gonna do some airbrush. We'll probably do a little dry brushing, and then we'll also do maybe we'll do a little bit of line work with some paint, and we'll have some fun with this thing. So we're gonna have a good time. And one of the things I want to suggest is, if you are considering painting, one of the things, especially when it comes to Armada, since this game is not being currently produced with new stuff, and we have to do a lot of Etsy shopping and 3D printing and stuff like that, if you're trying to get stuff that's not still available, is it can be a little intimidating to paint something as pretty as this. What I would suggest when you're starting on, like, again, if you're just doing airbrush stuff, or if you're doing a spray paint, a rattle can primer, you can just get smooth, even coverage. But when it comes time to do anything that's you're a little bit less than comfortable with, start with the bottom. Start with the bottom, because if you screw it up, you can try and correct it. You can go over it again. You can do all the mistakes you want on the bottom, because pretty much nobody's ever going to see the bottom. You're really going to be focusing on the top and then the back. Like, this is one of those areas that is going to get a lot of visibility. The top is going to get a lot of visibility. People aren't going to look at the bottom very much. You'll see it when maybe you put it into storage and you're pulling it out and things like that. And when you're done, seal it with like a matte varnish. It's always a good idea when you're like totally done. This way you can handle it, you can pick it up, and like the paint isn't going to rub off on your fingers and things like that. But for now, we're going to prime it. So let's jump into that. All right, so we've got this guy all set up. Do a couple of test sprays real quick. I like to get a little bit of the base first. All right, so we've got the whole thing primed right now, and I did the bottom a little bit lighter because I'm gonna try some funky stuff. I'm gonna try everything else out on the bottom first, but we've got it primed, and one of the things we're gonna be doing, I'm gonna just put a gray on this. I've got a Vallejo light gray. I'm gonna put this on, and I am going to try some whites in here, so this way when I eventually come back and do like a blue in the engine, then it'll of course pop, because if you try to put blue over black, you're gonna end up with a really dark blue that's barely visible. So and if you were doing other models, then you'd want to put some gray over top and do like zenithal, and I don't necessarily want to zenithal a Star Destroyer, but something like this, I would want to zenithal over the top. I'm also priming some Warhammer stuff as I do this, so there's a lot of cleanup when it comes to an airbrush, and I figure when it's time to pull out the airbrush, let's do a couple of things all at once. So that's another tip that I have. So we're going to load some of this up in here and get it going. All right. So So that's why I say do the bottom first, so you can figure out what works for you. How many coats do you think you're gonna need? You know, I'm doing it a little bit farther away, not super oriented, but I am doing like a pattern, like a left and right pattern here. It's gonna make my coverage a little bit smoother, and then leave me some room. Now there's some areas where it's a little, you know, came down a little bit less strong in there, but overall that's going to be pretty good. I can also put a wash over the top, and then some dry brushing and some other effects like that. So I think this is kind of what I'm going to be going for here. Back to this side. And then I can even hit like these parts right here a little bit more. And I can hit certain areas a little bit more. And this is like when I did my green Star Destroyer, I did like a fade, kind of like that, where I faded it from like whiter on the out, or like brighter on the outside to darker on the inside, kind of like that. And then back in here. Now I'm not going to get this one too bad in the back, because I do want it to be, have some shadow in the back, so I'm just kind of hitting it from like right there. All right, so we are, you know, this is dry enough that I can touch it. We've definitely got sort of an Imperial gray going on right here, but we're not going to be done with it just yet. Although honestly, that's one of the beauty of Star Wars ships, is that, you know, like all the Empire stuff is pretty much this color gray. So you for the most part, you kind of could stop here, and that's a beautiful thing. One of the things that still need to be done is a wash. Needs to be done, so I'll make all these panel lines pop a little bit more. I need to do engine glow, all right? And so to do that, we need blue in here, but before I can put blue in there, I have to put white in there first. So I'm going to be using some Vallejo Model Air White once my dogs stop barking and going crazy, because somebody probably just walked past the front door walking their dog, and they're all going nuts. That's what happens. So, but yeah, so we're going to put some Model Air White in there. And then once that dries, we'll put some blue in there and get some of that engine glow going. And I think I'm going to get, obviously these, but I'll also get these ones too. Boop, 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 boop. And these are, and this is kind of fun. It's okay if you mess, like get a little bit more around, like if a little bit spills out, because you can have a little bit of OSL or have a little bit of that engine glow kind of glowing out a little bit. But if it goes out even, you know, worse, then you can just go back over with gray. All right, so we've got a little bit of white in there, and we're just gonna. There we go. And you can even do this part with a brush, really. I didn't have to do this part with the airbrush. But. And one of the reasons I try and start off down here, because this isn't the best airbrush on the market, so sometimes I get a little bit of sputter, like this, like little blotches, and I don't want to just shoot like white stars all over the thing, if I can help it. There we go. All right, so it's a little bit whiter in there, so then once we put the blue in, it'll be a little better. So I'm using the Vallejo Air Blue, and I mixed a few drops of that in with my white, and it ends up like a perfect engine color blue. It's like 50-50. I mean, honestly, you really only need a drop of blue for it to, you know, for it to really blend, because blue is a dominating color. And just testing it right here off the side, you can see that's like that's the perfect color. So we're gonna go in here and just kind of go in there and get our engine glue going. Simple as that. Now, another thing that's kind of fun about like the docking bays and other areas like this, and sometimes you can do this on some of these side doors if you want to, is you can put a little bit of that light blue in here as well. And it doesn't matter if we mess up or not. I'm gonna just go for it and see how it looks. I can always paint over it with a brush for any parts that I don't like. But if I want there to be some glow from inside, I can certainly do this in here and a little bit in there as well to give the ship a little more life. And again, if it didn't turn out too well, okay, this is no problem. This is on the bottom. But if it turned out really good, then maybe we can do it on the sides. Although the sides are so small, I think I'm gonna do the sides with some brushwork on the sides. But we can also do that for the bottom and then give the little docking bay a little bit more life. So now that we've got kind of all the base coating done, we've got our engine glow looking real nice. It's time to look at how we want to do a wash. And there are a couple of different ways that you can do a wash. One of the things that I have done in the past is something kind of called a pin wash, where you take a very fine brush with just a little bit of wash and you go down individual lines and you do this one at a time. It's more precise, it's a little cleaner, but with this many lines, it's going to be very difficult to really get that done, and it would take a very, very, very long time. So in this case, I'm going to thin out the wash a little bit, and I'm going to apply it over the entire Star Destroyer, and then I'm going to try and wipe it off. What I don't want is if you put too much wash, I'm going to be using Nuln Oil. If you put too much of this on, it'll dry and you'll have inconsistent patterns, and it kind of looks, they call it like coffee stain sort of look. So that's what we're going to do. I don't want to have the coffee stain, so we'll be wiping it off afterwards. Alright, so basically we'll just apply this like so. You can see it goes into those cracks and gives you all that detail. But we're going to come back over and pick this up when we're done. So one of the things you can see here, like on some of these panels in the front, you see a little bit of the wash sort of pooling, and that happens on flat surfaces. That's why wash is always dangerous. So I'll just wipe it over like that with a cloth. It kind of gets it off of the top, and we still keep it in cracks there a little bit. Some places I'll leave it on a little thicker, like on the side panels, where I do want it to pool a little bit more in the recesses. You know, so you can use your discretion, but that's how I'm kind of doing it there. I like to put it on a little thicker on the bridges because this is where the most detail and the least amount of like flat surfaces are. So this is where it'll go on at its thickest, and I'll be and I can always, you know, I'll take a brush, a little, you know, kind of dry off the brush a little bit and get it off of just the areas if it's pooling a little too thick on some of those, like a little bit on top of this bridge right there. We'll get a little bit of it off of there, but we definitely want it nice and thick in between there. So at this point, I've kind of gotten just about all of the key areas, including the side panels. One of the things that I like to do is I like to take a little bit more on my brush and then go around, and some of the more pronounced places I'll sort of just get the edges a little bit more. And just get some of these other more significant raised areas here, because they are elevated on this model. And I want them to stand out a little bit more. And then, of course, are the edges around the bridge, too, and any of the other raised areas. It's starting to pop a little bit. We can wipe some of it down with the rag. All right, so now that we have got some time to dry on this, I'm just going to be taking a makeup brush with some gray paint on there, and I'm just going to be doing a little bit of dry brushing across a lot of the raised areas in the corners, trying to just gently bring those out. really good on these kind of elevated panels here too. Helps make them stand out a little bit more, and also the edges. And that is going to do it for the dry brushing. We've got a lot more detail on this thing now. We're actually getting close to finishing up. I'm going to put a couple of brush details on this, on some of these docking panels, and then we'll do some lighting at the end as well. So I just want to get in here. I just put little bits of lighting. That just to kind of, you know, give those some of those docking bays and stuff a little light shining out of them. All right, so now that we've got our lighting done on the sides, or at least our force fields kind of covering the docking bay, it's time to just get a little bit of white on our brush, and we want to go by and just add little lights. That just kind of helps. This is an option. You definitely don't have to do this, but I like to do this. I like to add tiny little lights all like around the bridge and different places that kind of indicate like people inside the ship and the lights being on. So what I like to do here is just start adding little lights all over. Tiny little spots of just pure white to indicate, you know, people inside the ship and little lights being on. And these are going to be at various different places. Definitely a little heavier along like these side panels here. And I'm just going to do those all over the ship. All right, and that is how she looks with all the little lights done. All right, guys, so that does kind of wrap it up. One of the things that you can do if you want to go back and paint individual squares and have some kind of replacement deck plates and things like that, you can do that with like maybe a slightly different shade of gray. Kind of works better if you mix like an extra, like just a tiny little dab of black in with your gray. That'll make it a little darker. You can certainly do that. But, you know, this one came out pretty good. I'm kind of liking the rear. Kind of liking the dry brushing, kind of liking the engine lights, or the running lights, and overall, it's a pretty nice looking Star Destroyer. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below, and don't forget you can also check out social media links and join our Discord, and also if you're interested in this model or other ones like it, I'll put a link in the video description below. I will talk to you guys later. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Big thanks to my patrons. You guys are out of this world and help make this whole channel possible. I will talk to you later. May the force be with you. Live long and prosper. Be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes. And always wash your socks.